What else did Google create for us on our page?
A toolbar?
Yes.
For us to edit and add?
Yeah. This is the equivalent of Dreamweaver right here. So Google Sites is wrapping in all the tools that we have access to just in this little bar. I would argue this bar is ridiculously small. We should have at least 10 or 12 buttons because you're going to see we have to go deep into this to get to even basic functions, and that's one of the big criticisms people have of Google Sites. Fortunately, almost nobody does it better. Everyone buries all their functionality when you're using this kind of editor, which we refer to as, I'll actually put it right in my web page. Does anyone know what that stands for?
What you see is what you get.
Yeah, what you see is what you get. You don't need code now to create a website. We haven't put in any HTML yet. So unless you're crazy like me and Daniel and like hacking code a little bit, because we can do things maybe quicker or a little more elegant or a little bit better for browsers, we can create an entire website with never looking at HTML. Except we're about to look at HTML. Because I want to see at least a little bit of what powers the web. So let me zoom back out a bit. And notice when I wanted to put in that what you see is what you get, what did I click?
The pen.
Yeah, so this pen, just like in Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign, remember I said if you hover your mouse above any tool in the palette, it will give you the name of that tool, which is really handy. Especially in Photoshop when we saw there were all those tools to go through. So I'm going to click on Edit Page. Why don't you do the same thing? So we'll all click on Edit Page. And as soon as we do, we get a new toolbar. What I like about the toolbar is you could probably figure out almost every button on it, whether you've ever created a website or not. So I'll ask, do you see any buttons or icons there that you don't understand? That way I can skip the ones that just make sense, like bold is pretty obvious, or point size for changing the size of your font. Are there any other icons that you're not quite sure what they are?
Link.
Okay, so link. Notice when I hovered over it, it was also still giving me the name of the tool, which is handy. So what does link do?
Inserts on hyperlink.
It does. Let's try it. So right now, I'm not actually going to put my cursor anywhere. By default, it's starting at the beginning of my editing window down here. So what happens when I click on link? It assumes, first of all, that I want to link to something already in my website. That's handy. So if we have a lot of content that we're adding and we just want to give people another way to find it, we can link to it from right within the content. Pretty great. In this case, not a lot to link to. We only have one page. I don't think I need to link back to the home page from the home page. That's more anal than even I am. What if I click on web address? So this should make sense, except for one thing. Why is the top box blank? Usually when I'm creating a link, I'd have something in there.
Is that what Stacy does when she puts it into the text and she has something there and it says the word in blue and you click on it, it jumps?
Yep.
Oh.
Do you know what we call that?
No.
Hyperlink.
Ah.
So several weeks ago we were talking about Photoshop, and I said there was one fundamental. What am I looking for? One fundamental. I just totally lost the word. One fundamental unit for graphics. What did we call that?
The pixel.
The pixel. Everything on the screen is made up of pixels, unless it's vector, which we also learned is not pixels. But the web equivalent of the pixel is the hyperlink. So watch this. I'm going to put Derek Breen, and I'm going to link to www.derekbreen.com. Now notice there's one other option at the bottom of the page which is important to know about. open this link in a new window. I'm going to check that box so we can see what it does once I create this link. So I'm going to click OK. And what did it do? Here. So here's where we added things. What did I just do? Well, remember, I didn't have anything selected. My cursor was before that what you see is what you get acronym. If I had that selected and clicked on Insert Link and went to web address, it would assume that I want the text to display to be that what you see is what you get. But it means I can also insert a link whether I have text there or not. I'm going to hit Cancel. I'm going to get rid of what you see is what you get. Now I'm still in edit mode. Remember when we clicked on that pencil or that pen icon and went into edit mode? What it means is if I click on that link, I'm not going anywhere. Edit mode assumes that I want to make changes, not actually navigate my website. And it's telling me, oh, you've set this up to go to this link. Do you want to change that? Or do you want to remove the link altogether? I can do that right here. I don't have to go into the code. Now, I said the hyperlink, which used to always be in blue and underlined. The hyperlink is the essential building block of the entire World Wide Web. Why? What's so cool about a hyperlink? I mean, we've all clicked on tens of thousands of them now. What's different about the web of the 90s versus the internet of the 60s or 70s or 80s? I mean, I think we all know the internet goes back far before the 90s. What's the difference between the internet and the World Wide Web? Just ideas, just like a sense as users.
The internet is essentially the infrastructure, and the web is what allows you to access all of those. So it's like.
So Julie's an engineer. You should know this now.
Right. Okay. So let me give away the fact that
That's okay.
I guess in one way you think about it, it's like you've got that AT&T had built a telephone network way back when. That when you started adding phones and phone companies, you were able to start using it.
Sure. You got part of it. So the internet is the infrastructure. But what's the web? What changed in the 90s?
Oh, it's a web. It's all connected. It's like spider web.
Yes, but the internet is all connected like a spider web. You're getting at it. Yes, it's connected in a different way.
Diana?
What, Diana?
Interactivity.
What does that mean?
Meaning that before it was more, we could just access it and browse the web, but now we can interact with it and make our own web.
Kind of. That's part of it. How do you interact with a web page? How do you interact with the World Wide Web? Daniel?
Is she referring to static and dynamic way to...
I think she is, which is why she's only half right. What do we actually physically do to get from one page to another page?
The links in between. The URL.
What? How do we use a link?
We click on it.
Yes! That's the difference between the World Wide Web and the Internet.
Oh.
It's so obvious that you'd never get it unless I led you to it question by question by question. Before the first web browser, there were no hyperlinks. So before 93, how would you get to a web page?
Enter in the whole.
Exactly. Except it looked like this.
Yeah, right.
It was all numbers.
So you had to know that sequence.
You had to know the numbers. It's like the olden days when you had to actually type out people's phone numbers, or worse, go like this. So before the World Wide Web, we needed to know the address for every page on the internet, which is why the original internet sitemaps were books this big that it was a privilege to own. And there were different versions of those books depending on whether you were at MIT or you were at Harvard or you were at NASA or you were at, well, not Starbucks, because there was no commercial aspect before the 90s, really. You weren't buying anything, you weren't selling anything. All you were doing is sharing data. So now, wait, where's my new page? It's here, here, here. There it is. So now we totally take it for granted that you can create a hyperlink. Hyperlink is the essential building block of the World Wide Web. It is more essential than images, which there were images on the internet prior, but those were even more complicated to access. I want to look at the code that makes a hyperlink, because it is the essential building block of the World Wide Web. So how do I see code? Let me zoom out just so that you have kind of the similar layout to what I do. Notice all the way at the end, we have in brackets HTML. Edit HTML source. Let's go ahead and click on that.
What's remove formatting do? Is that
Oh.
like all the like bold and
Exactly.
everything away?
Yeah, and that's the same in like Gmail. So if you copy text from somewhere and you paste it into Gmail and it looks all weird, a lot of times if you use that remove formatting, it'll just put it to the default text. It's very handy. I use it all the time in Gmail. So I created my hyperlink using the built-in tools of Google Sites, which is great. I don't ever have to edit this code, but because it's the fundamental, I just want us to look at how the code works. Because this gives us kind of the raw format for how all code works on the web. So I have these brackets, or what we call carets in web design world. So the carets just say, there's a command inside here. So everything inside the carets doesn't get displayed in the web browser. It just does something, gives an instruction to the web browser to do something. In this case, create a reference to this other website. And what's this target equals blank? Remember we checked a box when we created that hyperlink? What did that checkbox allow us to do?
Oh, open it and move it like that.
Yeah. So if I update, save my changes, when I save, I'm going out of edit mode and back into sort of browse mode. And now if I click on that link, Derek Breen, it'll open it in its own page. Open in new window. Why would you ever want to do that?
So you don't lose the place where you were at in the other page.
Exactly.
What?
Especially if you're sending people to a website that you don't own and get money for. You don't want them to forget the page that you own and get money for when you send them somewhere else. So a lot of people by default will have any link that's not on the same site open in a new page. Certain browsers that could be a problem because people can disable that as a setting. Generally people aren't doing that quite so much. Although by default almost everyone is disabling pop-ups, which is a different beast, where it's creating another page above the browser. So I want to go back into edit and edit the source. So really the only important thing to know for our purposes is that whatever's not inside those brackets is going to display in your web page. Very simple, right?